Sorry we're late. Blame Jose. Jose will not be joining us tonight. Sorry, everybody. Today was pretty fun, even though we didn't have Messi. That worked out pretty well. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and not Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for stopping by for episode 58 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching live on YouTube, thank you so much for stopping by, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the show. And a huge shout out to our chief Heron Heads, Matias, Chao, Abu, and Ava. And also welcome to our newest chief Heron Head, Marivi. Thank you so much for the generous support. We greatly, greatly appreciate you guys. And if you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. So before we begin, let's crack open our beverages if you haven't already. Oh, what a weak little pop fizz that was. I'm enjoying what is this? A special ale. I don't know.
Oh, mine was delightful. It's a Fat Heads Brewery. What is this called? Bumbleberry. Oh my God, honey blueberry ale.
This is from 2002.
So you like those
2022. So who knows if this is gonna be good or not?
Those fruity beers. Ugh. I got a little bourbon. Highland, I don't know what, Kentucky bourbon. I ran out of the good stuff, so I got the one that was further back in the cabinet.
There you go. All right, guys. So Inter Miami had no Messi, and thought that went back to the 4-3-3. Fantastic news when I saw the lineup come out. And although we went down early, I thought the team did a really great job basically from that point on. To me, it was just a fantastic turnaround, and it showed a lot of mental fortitude to just stay in it, keep at it. And Luis Suarez, what else you got to say other than that? The guy's pretty good, huh?
The fact that he just came on there and it was an instant spark to the team it just shows obviously why we brought him in here, who he is. He's not too old. His knees are, yes, hurting, but they're not holding him back from anything. I mean, he just came in here and this team was completely different. The attack was on point. His chemistry is obvious with these guys around him, even with Campana that he hasn't played with very often. You could tell that the chemistry is also there. Just all around, man. Gomez and him work so well together. We continue to see it game after game. There's not much I could say about him because there's too much to say about him. It's just incredible to watch what he does to this team.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, the game started, they looked a little bit disjointed on attack. Every time they got the ball, they just kind of like bombed it forward, hoping for the best. And I think after the fifth try, they realized that that's not working, and they kind of gained their composure and started making the correct passes after that. And the game went in their favor from that point on. DC did have a few nice counters that luckily we were able to stop. But yeah, this game, even though it was kind of back and forward, it felt like it was in hand, and that Inter Miami never really lost grasp of this game. And yeah, and then Tata with the great formation to start the match and pulling the right strings, making the right subs in the right time. And what a luxury is that when you have to go to your bench and you're like, who am I gonna put in? Oh, how about Luis Suarez and Jordi Alba? Like how many clubs can say that they have that in their arsenal? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's fun. And anytime that we can cruise to victory, to a more than one goal differential victory, we take those. We take those all day, and without Messi. How about that? As Jose would say, how about that?
I don't know what to tell you.
Argue with your mama. We started seeing the signs of Inter Miami being able to understand how to play without Messi in the Montreal game. They just weren't able to get all the way back from the deficit. But to me, this game, yeah, like after the first goal, Miami just settled in, and a lot of it to me came from the midfield. What a fantastic game for all three of Redondo, Gomez, and Busquets. All three had incredible plays throughout. Redondo and Gomez, to me, really shone throughout this match. They had just constant high energy, constant dangerous runs. All three goals you can attribute to direct impact from one of those three players. And Busquets should have had an assist off the incredible pass that he played over the top to Taylor, maybe. But if you talk about all three goals, right? You had Campana, who scored off of Redondo just putting in an absolute shift after Campana was saved on a header. So Campana had a header that came on a very nice cross. And then the ball gets cleared. Redondo saves it, turns a guy, falls to the ground, still gets up, runs into the box, falls down again, getting the ball, and then just like tees it up to Campana, who scores. Incredible by Redondo. And then you have Redondo again, who leads the break as Campana and Suarez are on. Campana's running to his right. Suarez is also running to his right. Suarez dummies it. The pass goes to Campana. Campana plays it back across. Suarez scores. And then the final goal, you have Gomez, who completely broke away. I thought he was going to score or shoot at least, and I was really excited because I had a Gomez anytime score bet in. And I was like, oh, man, that's like had some of the furthest odds that I had open. But then he laid it off to Suarez, and I'm like, okay, that was a smart play. And then Suarez didn't shoot, and I was like, oh, no, he blew it. But then he just pulls it back and just scored an audacious chip. That
scary Larry, baby.
Respect to the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper was able to get just enough on it for it to still go in. And just had to be the most demoralizing goal to watch go in. It must have all happened in slow motion for him. But all three goals, direct result of the play of the midfield. To me, I mean, I always kind of say it heading into the matches, like midfield. But these guys are really starting to shine, and Gomez is just like skyrocketing up my ranks of like who my favorite players are on this team. Redondo has been silky smooth since he got here, but Gomez has just like fluctuated a lot last season, has been good to pretty good this season, and he just continues to improve week in and week out.
Yeah, you know it's a bad sign when Taylor Twellman is just heaping praise on Gomez and saying, "Oh yeah, European clubs are clamoring for Gomez." Like, he's just dying to get good players off of our team. It's like he knows that Messi's not going anywhere, and Busquets, all the older players aren't going to go anywhere. So now he's just dying for like the young up and coming talent to just be like shipped off to Europe. He's Team Jose and just trying to sell these players as fast as possible. But no, these guys aren't going anywhere, at least not for the foreseeable future. And yeah, it feels great to have Gomez finally hitting his stride. And I feel confident saying that this is it. Gomez, he's reached this level of play, and he's going to stay that way throughout the rest of the season. He's not going to fall back into what we were seeing last year with the inconsistencies and some of the boneheaded plays. Now it's just the tenacity and the skill is finally coming together, and it's a thing of beauty. I'm sorry, Chris. I know I cut you off there for a second.
Nope, that's perfectly fine. I was gonna kind of say something similar to what you said, that Gomez, we've spoken about him. He was my player that I picked to be the most improved this season, and you kind of we saw what he was a little bit last season, then he kind of dropped off. And this season, you're scared. At least I'm scared to celebrate and say he's here and this and that, because I'm waiting for that little dip, but he hasn't shown it yet. Yes, it's only been 5-6 games, but he has not shown it yet. He has his engine that he continues to work, and he just doesn't stop, and he keeps making these smart plays, and it looks like he's just getting better as the matches go on, and he's getting smarter, and he's making better runs. As he made one run today that he kind of cut across the middle towards the right wing, sort of. And the pass was pretty spot on. It missed him just by a little bit, so he couldn't get the right shot off. But the run that he made was beautiful too. So he's making these smart runs now, and he's just really getting intertwined in this attack, and it's showing, man. And it's exciting to see. And he's just a different type of player. He's not this like this sparkly, shiny, super fast guy that's gonna run by everyone and dribble around everyone. But he's like this like blue collar, like hard worker. He has his strength that no one could get around him, and he could just hold people off and make the right passes. So it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see. Someone in the comments just said that it's that to pinch them because they haven't seen a midfield like this for Inter Miami, and it's true, man. It's true. This midfield has taken the next step, and they've brought in the right people to take that next step. So I can't wait. We still have Kramaski that's still waiting there in the wings. He should be back soon. He's been training with the team as well, so he should be here soon. He's going to just bring more reinforcements to his midfield, and we keep saying it, and maybe it's going to get boring after a while, but this midfield is our strongest unit, and it's fun to watch. They're getting very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, Julio called it when Kramaski comes back. Like Kramaski and Ruiz off the bench, that's going to be fantastic for this club, especially once you pick up a lead, and then you take Busquets. You take Busquets out. You can take Redondo out, and then you just put in those blazers in there to just be running around like chickens with no heads, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and there's still so much flexibility that we have with, like, Gressel played right wing, David Ruiz, like you guys are mentioning, played right back. We can talk about the new right back that's coming in shortly, but we have so many pieces that can really just maneuver around. I thought it was cool to see Gressel start at right wing because it again just shined a spotlight on his flexibility around the team and what gives him so much value. And I was dying for him to score is like the revenge game because he was getting jeered all match by the United fans. But it's just nice to see. It's so nice to see. And while there was a lot of good to be taken from this match, there was some bad in that Noah Allen is just awful at left back. Awful.
It's a shame. I was hoping to see that next step from him too, because we did see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for him there, but I don't know. I don't see it. That left back position isn't him. When he's too far up, he struggles to get back. He gets burned constantly, even though he's fast. They showed the speed on the broadcast today, and he was like the second fastest on the pitch today.
He had to run that fast just to make up for his idiotic play.
Exactly. So he's running that fast because he has to go back because of the mistake he made. So it's just not there. He works well as a center back, and that's where they put him at when Alba got subbed in. And I think that's just what he is. I think that's what he is. He has to play in more tighter spaces. He can't be running up and leaving so much space behind him. It's just too much for him, it looks like. And it's a shame to say that because he's a young guy and he's learning from one of the best left backs to ever do it. But I don't see it. I don't see it anymore. Tata has to really stick. And it seems like he is trying to stick to him to be in the left center back position. But yeah, it's a shame. I'm hoping when Negri comes back that he could fill that position as a left back sub or just to rotate in, because no Allen isn't it. He's not.
Yeah, it stinks because we saw him playing better as a left center back, and then when I saw that they were coming out in 4-3-3 and he was playing for Alba, I was thinking, maybe he doesn't have to push as far up since he's playing 4-3-3 and he can just focus on defending. But even though he wasn't pushing as far up as Alba normally gets pushed up, there was instances where they were just coming through his side, and you're looking at the screen and you're like, where's Noah Allen? You have the center backs fighting, like scrambling for their lives, and the left back is just nowhere to be found. And we were even commenting, we're like, David Ruiz is not a right back. He's not by trade, by skill, he's not a right back. We had way less issues with him at right back than we did with Noah Allen, who was technically a left back. And they were just targeting Noah Allen. They were like all their best chances came from that side. So yes, that's the side that had their best striker, but also like they could try to take advantage of the weak point that is Ruiz defending, and they still decided that no, their best chance is right through Noah Allen and get through the attack, get through the defense that way. And yeah, I agree. Hopefully Negri provides some kind of respite from us seeing Noah Allen, but I'm not sure if that's the route they're going to go. We haven't seen him in like what feels like 2 years. And yeah, he has that Argentinian background, so that seems to be what they're going for, is people with the same background to kind of gel. I mean it's hard to argue at this point. Everybody that they get seems to be from either Argentina or now they have a second Paraguayan that coming in now. but I wouldn't be surprised if as soon as he gets healthy, he gets sold, because that seems to have been the MO for this club too. With some of the holdovers, is they're waiting for them to get healthy. They put them in a couple matches, and then they showcase that they're healthy and ready to go, and then they sell them. So I'll hold off on any hope, because every time we think that Noah Allen's going to be out of our lives, he finds a new way to find some consistent play. So and now the other thing is we have Freire, who picked up a knock. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but if Freire is out, we could still see Christoph coming in. I mean, not Christoph, Noah Allen coming in to replace whoever the center back is who's coming off. Because yeah, Christoph will be the natural replacement for Freire, but if he gets tired or gets a knock, or Toto gets a knock, like, he's going to be the first one off the bench to replace them. So we can't get rid of Noah Allen.
And luckily, I'm not a fan of Christoph, but he played well today in place for Freire when he got injured. So at least there was a bright spot there. I got kind of worried. We all got worried when we saw Freire leave, because Christoph was coming in. Obviously, he didn't have much time to warm up or anything. You just kind of get thrown in there. And for someone like him, I feel like he needs some warming up before he gets going. So, but he played well. I can't knock him for anything, honestly. The defense as a whole played well, except for Noah Allen and his mistakes that he made. But the defense as a whole did play well. So good for them. Good for them. Tata made the right decisions, and it was overall a good match. Kind of want to bring up this comment that I just put, because I'm guilty. It asks, were we expecting a W? And I'll say, when I saw the lineup today, I said no. I said we're going to get killed.
So hard.
I panicked so hard. I thought we were going to get killed. I saw Ruiz at right back. I'm a huge Ruiz fan, but when I saw him at right back, I was like, God, here we go again. And then obviously Noah Allen at left back. I was like, man, this is not good at all. But I was completely wrong. they proved me wrong. They showed that they could do it. And hey, Ruiz, he didn't play great. He didn't do anything spectacular, but he held his own. He held his own in a position that he never plays. We saw him back there a couple times last season, but that's not the position. And he still played well. He defended well. He made some nice plays in the attack. So I was wrong. I'll say it. Guilty as charged.
Ruiz just loves to show off his skills, right? Like, I feel like he goes out of his way to show any kind of flair, even when it doesn't make sense. He's like, I'm gonna do it anyways. He did like a really nice crossover move, and then he did a little back heel pass to Redondo, who, if he was expecting it, I think it would have been fantastic. But the fact that it caught Redondo completely off guard kind of slowed the whole play down a little bit if he had just passed it normally. But yeah, it's fun to watch. It's nice to have one of those players on your team. We just need everybody to kind of get in his brain so that they can expect the pass when he does things like that. But yeah, Ruiz, overall, he held his own. And right back, I feel like they didn't test him too much. He did a good job of getting out of pressure when they did send it his way. And one thing that he was a part of, that pretty much everybody was a part of, and it's a testament to that midfield, is I think we saw some of the nicest ball movement that we've seen in this era of Inter Miami. That's even with Messi in. Like, Messi's really good with just like working off of one person. So like the time he scored with Kremaski, like, that's beautiful. But this time with Messi off the pitch, we've never really seen that type of play. And we saw the interplays with three different players, and we saw with everybody and the vacating and people making the right runs and the ball just finding the right person. Like, the way that they did that today, it's something that is huge for us moving forward. If they can do that without Messi, hopefully that when Messi's on the pitch, they keep the same thing and they don't just feel like they have to play through Messi all the time, and that maybe something's clicking. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that sense, so it's hard for me to really put my thumb on it, but I feel like we haven't seen that, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's going to be huge given. So after the match, the news came out that Messi will not be participating in the upcoming national friendlies for the Argentina national team, which means he's probably unlikely to play for us in that same stretch, at least for the first game. So, I'm not anticipating him playing for our upcoming match against New York Red Bulls. So having not just the ability, but the confidence of knowing that we can be successful without him. We talked about this after Montreal, having just the sense that you can be successful and then seeing it again today to the level that it was executed, because like you were saying, the passing today, after DC scored that first goal, we dominated that game, in my opinion. We took over, and it was largely a part of the midfield and the passes they were playing to each other. They were bossing that midfield, man. Gomez and Redondo are two bulldogs in there. Like, they use their bodies so well. Busquets is there patrolling behind like a safety and just sitting there to kind of clean up any messes that arise. And these guys just, they dominate. Like, towards the end of the match, DC United's only hope was that Benteke was going to be able to box someone out and get a header in. And he had some chances that he should have taken better. But other than that, they didn't have a ton of great opportunities, especially once Noah Allen was shifted off of left back to left center back. But yeah, if the midfield can play this way, and if the team can play this way with this sort of chemistry and the ability to find each other in space and in tight spaces, we're gonna get good results more often than not when Messi is not playing, which is all we need. We need the team to be able to just hold over until Messi gets back, because when Messi gets back, obviously we become tremendous favorites in almost every matchup in this league. So if they can perform to this level against teams, because there are better teams obviously than DC United. It's not like DC United is a juggernaut in the league right now. They're probably a lower half tier team, but this is great. Like, to take advantage of that matchup and to develop that belief, develop that chemistry some more. It was really nice to see. There weren't a lot of times where we're like, man, like if only that player was a little bit more ahead or a little bit more on the spot, that ball would have found him and he would have been in space. Like, there are maybe a number of times that I can count on my hand where that happened, which is great, because in preseason that was our whole review, was like, the chemistry is just like almost there, but it's not quite there. But now it's there. And it's great. I love it.
You see the chemistry piece. We said it like a couple episodes ago, but the offsides aren't really there that often anymore. In the preseason, it was offside, another offside, and it was Suarez, it was Gressel. It was like everybody was just going offside. They're too anxious to get up, and they weren't just timing each other right. But now we're not really seeing that. I haven't checked the stats to see how many offsides we have, but the last few matches, you just don't see it often anymore, and they're making these perfectly timed runs. And if there is that offside, it's like very questionable. They did have one today, actually. That was very questionable. It was a lot closer than what everyone thought. So that's what we're seeing, and that's a huge positive, because it's changing the narrative that we had early on with this team. And we said it was chemistry. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. And one of them was that very, very close one that
Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor was like right there, so it was off, but it was very, very close. So positives, man. Every game, this is what we want to see. Every match, we want to see a positive here and there, and then the win obviously helps. The 3 points helps a lot.
If I'm gonna nitpick like for one negative, and it's less than it was last time, is Campana needs to be more aggressive. We saw it again where he had a couple chances that he either just doesn't have the confidence in himself to just put it through, or to Twellman again. Last match was the same thing. He had a chance for a header, and instead of taking it with his head, he tries to poke it in with his feet, and that's just a confidence thing. And he said it after, like, you could tell he's like, next time. So with him getting more consistent play, I'm hoping that that's going to fix itself. But yeah, he still found the back of the net, which is encouraging. I think days like this where he doesn't play his best, but still finds the back of the net, that's good for his mentality going forward. He's like, okay, even on an off day, I can find the back of the net. So that helps him to just play loose moving forward. And yeah, part of it is just think less and react. He's playing very unselfish, which is not great for a striker, especially like in the beginning of the game that he is the striker. You want him to just go out, score. Don't worry about anybody else. And then when Suarez came in, then he was definitely yielding, which worked out because he got an assist to Suarez. So that's great. Julio was like, you see, that's what he was waiting for. He was just waiting for Suarez to jump on. So yeah, when Suarez is on, fine. Now you can yield. But when he's the man out there, I want him to be the man out there. And yeah, I think he'll come around. He just needs more game time, and it's showing. Like I said, this match he did better than he did last match. So unlike Noah Allen, more time on the pitch is going to help Campana out.
I will say,
to
just really quick, Chris, the ball that Twelman thinks he should have gone with his head, I think Campana would have died. I think he would have dove straight into the post and just like Twelman just wants him to go headfirst into the post and just concuss himself to oblivion. So I think he did fine going after it with his foot.
Do you guys think, seeing that the success that we saw today with Campana and Suarez, that we may see that as a wrinkle for a starting lineup from Tata,
I don't think so.
or just too thin at striker?
Exactly. I don't think so. I think that he'll opt for one or the other, just because if there's an issue, granted you can change formations in mid game and just go with the one striker, but the way that I think Tata said it, that he likes to deploy just the one striker formation and work around that. For that reason, and also, yeah, we're shallow at the striker position. I understand that Robert Taylor can play little center forward. Borgelin is very, very, very raw and inconsistent. So just having two strikers who can consistently do stuff out there, and Suarez doesn't have the best track record of being able to play a full 90 minutes. You can't. I don't think you can risk having them both out there right from the starting whistle.
Yeah, I agree with that. And these formations that we've been deploying, specifically the 4-3-3, just we said it last match. This formation is just so much better for us, and we play so much better. And having the single striker, and especially in a situation today where you're resting Suarez, or at least not having him start for minute 1, so great to be able to just bring him on as a substitute and know that there's a world where he can score 2 goals like that. And to me, it does work the same the other way. And Campana, obviously not nearly as clinical as Suarez and not nearly as talented even, but Campana is a very capable striker. And, you know, he had a goal today. He had an assist today. There were definitely moments where he should have done better. He had a dummy that he had no idea where Gressel was behind him. And he was just like, oh, he's probably there. And he just dummied it. And it was an immediate turnover, shades of Joseph Martinez, but definitely things to pick up on that just come with time playing. I mean, everyone who played really well has been playing a lot this season. You know, Gomez has played a lot this season. Toto has been so much better the last couple games. You look at Redondo and Busquets. Redondo obviously newer, but Busquets played really well. Taylor had a good game. Nothing for me to complain about. Jose's not here to defend himself, so Jose thought he had a wonderful game. But to me, it's just playtime, and it's good that we were afforded, or that Campana was afforded, 70 plus minutes of playing, and being able to play alongside Suarez. It adds a wrinkle, right? It adds a wrinkle of something that we could deploy if we do start with one striker. Then it's like, okay, do we need to go get a second goal? Do we need a couple goals to catch up? Cool, like let's put both of them out. Then it's just a different problem for defenses to figure out. So to me, it's not something that we'll see necessarily often from the start, but it can be something that, depending on how the game flow goes, we might see in spurts throughout the season. So with that, let's talk about who else can we talk about? Drake Callender. I thought he had a solid game. He was not named captain when the lineup came out, but then when they came out onto the pitch, he was wearing the captain's armband. I was thinking about this, and I wonder if Busquets was like, "Nah, Chief, it's you," because Busquets was named captain on the team sheet. So I wonder if Busquets was just like, "This is your team. You're going to need to have a big game." And to Drake's credit, he had a good game. Jose may say otherwise, even though that first goal was an incredible goal by DC United. He had that one really, really smart save on the free kick where the ball went past all the players, but he was able to jump across and save it last minute, like very twitch reflex. And no major mistakes. I mean, we saw some really bad Drake moments against Montreal. All of those were gone. So to me, it was a much cleaner game from Drake. He was much more commanding of the box. He had the one header opportunity for Benteke where he started to come out and then realized he wasn't going to get there, and then he was just dead to rights. Luckily, Benteke headed it over the crossbar. But other than that, like, I thought Drake had a very clean game.
And he took a beating today. I don't know. I think they had like two or three fouls on Drake.
At least 2.
Yeah, he really, and that can kind of get somebody off their game if they're second guessing whether or not they're going to get their legs taken out from under them when they're going up for the ball. So that's props to Drake, and it shows his growth as well. He's not letting things fall apart on him. I was listening to the radio before game time. I was doing some errands, and I heard them say that Drake, like, he doesn't have all that much experience. So every little bit of game that he plays and setting up the corners, and that's another reason why we're not great at defending corners, is he needs to grow and evolve when it comes to setting up the walls and taking command of those corner defenses, so, or set piece defenses in general. So it's good. Him getting experience is all great, and the fact that he's continued to show growth. I mean, I don't see anybody out there who I'd rather have right now in the MLS than Drake Callender.
Yeah, so I was just curious how many shots were taken by DC today. So it was 14 shots and then 7 shots on target, which was pretty equal to us. We had 17 shots versus 7 shots on target. So on target was about the same, but yeah, it still speaks to how well Drake played. He made some really nice saves. We've spoken already about Noah Allen, that he puts him into a bad position. The first goal, or the only goal, was on Noah Allen. So when your defense is a little shaky, and especially Freire getting injured, it puts some extra pressure on the goalkeeper, and he stepped up today and he played very well. At the end of the day, he's only had one bad match this season, and it was Montreal. Besides that, they've all been very, very low scoring or just clean sheets in general. So he's had a solid season. We've seen good, we've seen bad, but I think we've mostly seen good from Drake this season so far.
Yeah, that's a good point. In spite of our acceptance that our defense is very shaky, we do tend to keep teams really low. Like, our defensive record is quite good. I don't know what the average is, but I imagine we're at or below 1 goal per game allowed. So to me, a lot of that is attributable to Drake's performance throughout the season. He's mostly cool and calm and collected. He does need to understand how to control his box better on crosses and on set pieces specifically. But overall, yeah, there's no keeper that I'd rather have. I like his pizzazz, like his personality comes out every now and then. He does seem just very he just seems very assured of himself. So to me, he's a good keeper. He's getting better, and we're seeing improvement, and that's the important part. He's a young keeper. He's getting, all these little things that should boost his confidence. Who knows if it was Busquets that gave him the captain's armband? I imagine it was.
Maybe he took it.
Maybe, exactly, which I would love. Like, imagine. But getting the call-ups to the U.S. men's national team, like, all these little things, just, little feather in the cap, that just give him opportunity to get even better. And you could probably say that he's one of the better keepers in the MLS. We want to get him to the point where he's the best, because that does cover up a lot of the shortcomings of the defense. So to me, it was a clean game from Drake. I don't put a lot on him for the first goal. It was an incredibly well struck ball. So yeah, I'm happy because last match I was like, oh, that was pretty bad by Drake. It could have been a lot worse. But this match, he did pretty much what he had to, given the circumstances.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as defending crosses, I don't think it can get much worse than in that Montreal versus Chicago game. The guy he scored. I hope you guys in the chat saw that game. This guy scored. I think
just look up
the field.
Kellen Acosta goal.
Yeah, he was just trying to flip the field he was still on his defensive half of the field, and the Chicago wind just picked that ball up, and it just kept sailing, and it went right past the goalkeeper's extended fingertips, and it was at the death pretty much. It's pretty amazing stuff. Hopefully, we never have to deal with that kind of weather in any of our games, at least in Chicago, or maybe any tropical systems here in South Florida. But yeah, and oh man, there was one more thing I wanted to say about Drake, but it escapes me, so it couldn't have been that important.
So that's actually funny you brought that up. That Chicago outcome was huge for us. Again, it's still early in the season. I understand that, and everyone's going to say that, but it was huge for us because Montreal was neck and neck with us. I think they had 7 points, and Chicago winning it in that fashion in the last minute, it took away the 3 points, or it took away the 1 point from Montreal. So that was very good. Thank you, Chicago, for that. Much appreciated.
On top of that game winner from Chicago, Montreal entered extra time of that match leading, and then Callender Costa, I think he assisted a goal in the 92nd minute or 95th minute or something, and then scored that audacious game winner, which there's no chance he was trying to shoot. He was just trying to hoof it up the field. It was literally a pass from the keeper to Costa, who was at midfield, and it was clearly like he was just booting it forward, and it just soared over the outstretched hands of the keeper. I think if the keeper doesn't touch it, I think that ball doesn't go in, which makes things even worse. So the keeper gets fingertips to it.
Top bins, baby.
I don't know,
top
man.
Bins.
Just devastating.
It was
regardless.
going to sound like this was going to go.
Super cool for the home crowd, but absolutely devastating for anybody else, any fan of Montreal who had such a great start to the season. Like, we were going to be talking about Montreal as like, these guys might be serious, and now who knows?
That was a very EAFC clubs match, and just getting pissed off and throwing the controller and just
is that a glitch?
Just all of us just turn off a. Huh?
Is it a glitch or is it scripted?
Both.
It's a glitch. It's a glitch. Stupid AI.
So let's talk about just another thing, the physicality of this game. DC United, I mean, it wasn't chippy to me. It was just very sloppy. Like, the first half was very sloppy because it didn't feel like they were getting fouls for the sake of trying to get under our skin. To me, it was just DC was very late on everything. And even the fouls that were called on Miami, even though the foul discrepancy in the first half was something like 12-4, it wasn't sloppiness, or I'm sorry, it wasn't chippiness. It was sloppiness. And it just put DC United, I think it made them have to play differently, which also may lend itself to our ability to sort of dominate after the first goal, because by the end of the first half, I think they had 3 yellow cards at least. And
3, yeah.
I even tweeted out, I said, mark my words. Dave marked them. I said, mark my words, before the end of this match, DC United will not finish with all 11 players on the pitch. And luckily, at the very end of the game, Schneider Borgelin started running away from someone, and they fouled him. And I think it was a straight red. So kind of funny how that worked out, because there was like 5 players on yellow, and then someone got a straight red. So anyways, it was really nice to see Miami not letting that affect them. They were like, oh, cool, you're going to just play a little bit slower than us. Watch all these passes we're going to make and just play around you and get you into really bad situations. And not that we can necessarily do anything with the set pieces we got, because we're god awful on set pieces offensively and defensively, but it's nice to see them not develop a frustration. And obviously, when you're able to score, it's less frustrating that the other team is playing the way they are. But it seemed like everyone kept their composure pretty well, despite what I would call just a very sloppy first half. It cleaned up a little bit in the second half, but really sloppy first half.
How about Chris McVeigh?
Christopher McVeigh? Yeah. Like, what was up with him? I don't know.
Welcome back.
He wasn't even. Yeah, I don't understand what the beef was with him. He just kept committing these stupid fouls, and
you guys should have used me more.
Obviously, that's why we don't use you, you sloppy player. Yeah, it was too many yellows, man. I didn't notice how many total in the whole game.
It was like 6 or 7
more. It was, and there could have been more.
8 total yellows and then a red.
Crazy, man.
It's crazy.
I think like the ref had a very poor times. I think the ref had a very poor like gauge of the match. And sometimes the ref can sort of control the tempo and the tone of a match. I thought the ref did a really poor job of doing that. And I guess that sort of lends itself to another thing that we can talk about with questionable calls. 2 specifically, that I guess the call went against DC United. There was one play that was looked at for Busquets tugging at the jersey of someone in the box. VAR reviewed it, and they said that there was no foul. To me, that was about as close as it gets, even though, we're trying to be unbiased. I'm happy that wasn't called a foul, but I think it very easily could have. If you had a different crew in that production trailer, I think it could have been called a foul very easily. and Miami was, I think, very fortunate in that situation. How did you guys see that specific play?
Yeah, I agree. I thought the same thing when it happened. I was like, "Ooh, that's questionable. That looks like a foul. I don't know how they didn't call it, but wash my hands. We're good."
I didn't see anything. Clean.
Super clean. Super clean. Talk about controversy. How about the one that Twellman kept talking about, that he thought it was a handball on Thor?
Get over it. Get over it,
Twellman. The
Twellman.
rest of the game after it happened, just wouldn't shut up about it. Jesus.
Remember when somebody got a handball against us, and he was like, "Oh, he didn't get big. If he had gotten big and touched the hand, then it's a handball." And then in this instance, they're like, "Oh, his hand was in a natural place," and Twellman goes, "I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter."
I'm like, dude, like keep showing how much you don't like this club. Like, just go out of your way to just try to pick the one thing that's gonna affect the club negatively. The one place where I thought that maybe that for sure they got the call wrong and they didn't even look at it was it was on a cross that they said that they headed the ball out, and then on replay it just hit Toto right in the chest, which he played it well. It's fine, but they didn't even bother looking at it. But that was not the first time that they did that in the game either. There was another time
that happens all the time.
Yeah. Remember the beautiful cross by Busquets. Robert Taylor did the best he could and put a good kick on the ball, and it was deflected out by the goalkeeper. It was a save, and they just said goal kick. So I don't feel bad. I'm sorry. I won't feel bad for those types of calls. Now, if it's blatant and that jersey tug brings him to the ground, like obviously brings him to the ground, fine. Go ahead, call it. If Toto had just palmed the ball and then taken a bite out of it, sure, fine. That's a handball. But you know what? For what we saw in this one, nothing wrong. So just eat the loss, and Twellman can cry about it on his podcast.
Yeah, to me, the Toto play where it came off his chest, that to me, that missed call is the same to me as in the NFL when you could say that people hold on every play, that linemen hold on every play. Like, those plays happen all the time in games, whether it's a side out or a corner that's missed. These players take deflections that are so. This one was not microscopic. This one was pretty blatant when you saw the replay, but that happens all the time. So to me, that's a non-issue. The Toto play, I also agree. He left his arm in the most natural position possible. He was going to ground and simply just placing his arm down to sort of brace his fall a little bit, to brace his slide. And the ball happened to bounce up. He like completely whiffed on trying to deflect that ball out. And as a byproduct of that, it hit his arm. But to me, it's a very clear no call. It's not a handball. And I think the biggest gripe that DC will have against it is that we immediately went down the pitch and scored. So get over it, because it wasn't a handball, and then we just destroyed you on the other side. So I think if there's a bigger discussion or debate to be had, it's on the Busquets no call. But to me, the Toto handball is not a handball. So to me, that one was correctly called.
I'm curious that we're seeing these replacement refs, obviously, here in the MLS right now. And I was just trying to look real quick. It's a very small sample size, but I was comparing it to our CONCACAF matches. Obviously, different ref crew. But it does seem like the CONCACAF matches, there's a lot less fouls called. That's obviously, it leans to the experience that these referees have compared to the replacement ones coming in. They're not used to these players. They're not used to the style of play in this league. They're just kind of thrown into it. And maybe later on in the season, if this does continue, the ref lockout does continue on for a long period of time, maybe they do get more used to the style of play and the players and this and that. But yeah, it seems like, just from my small scientific experiment that I just did on my phone, it looks like CONCACAF matches are called a little bit less the fouls than the MLS ones that we've seen. And you kind of see it. I feel like the two matches that we had against Nashville, we weren't like kicking and screaming, and either side, we weren't kicking and screaming for these horrible calls and this and that. And it seems like on MLS play, we're here sitting, the last few reaction matches, we're here sitting talking about how horrible this call was on both sides of the ball. So yeah, it's a shame. I hope this lockout thing ends soon.
Maybe they'll develop better chemistry like Inter Miami. Who knows?
Maybe. Could be.
Yeah. I mean, so far it's it's weird to say, but it's worked out in our favor. It seems like more often than not, or maybe everyone's just a hater, specifically Twellman. So he always just harps on it for the rest of the match and rest of eternity. But it plays into something that, and this is the last I'm going to talk about Twellman, I promise. But on his podcast, or a short from his podcast, he agreed. He stated that, or posed the question of, is Inter Miami the villain of the league? And of course they are, because any team that's the super team of the league is a villain. And if you're not a fan of theirs, if you're a fan of any other team, you hate the super team because you just think that they have every unfair advantage in the world. And I think when you have referees that are questionable, you're always going to question, are they, in the pocket of Beckham and Moss and Inter Miami? And obviously the answer is no, but it's just so funny how he kind of perpetuates himself in that discussion, in that conversation. And yeah, I've seen a couple people in the chat saying how they don't listen to the English commentary because he sort of just is unbearable. But I'm there with you. I just watch it in English because I can understand it more quickly and process it more quickly and talk about it on the podcast more clearly. But yeah,
like Tony said, I think he is just a contrarian. I think it gets the views, it gets us talking about it, and it's working. I'm sure he does the same thing in his podcast, and people watch it, and people like that stuff. At the end of the day, human beings are going to just be attracted by this opposite opinion and his banter and this and that. And that's what he brings at the end of the day, and I'm sure Apple TV is happy about that too, because we're talking about it, like I said. So he's not going to change.
Here we are saying his name 20 times on a platform that he probably doesn't even know exists. And yeah, I mean, who would be a contrarian? I would never be a contrarian just for being a contrarian, right? It's no fun.
You would be the opposite of a contrarian.
We kicked our contrarian off this episode. So let's talk about Suarez specifically, because this man deserves all the praise and then some, and it would still be an understatement. He has been incredible. Preseason, he was limping around all over the place, and the last 5-6 matches, really since the season started, with the exception of game 1 against Salt Lake, he has been on fire. Like, he cannot be stopped. And it is incredible to watch the types of goals that he's scoring. I think you want to talk about Suarez having bad knees. I'm pretty sure the first goal came off his knee. So, like, that was a big middle finger to all the haters. He has really he can take anything and just make it into a dangerous chance. I mean, I think we all collectively thought that he completely blew the second chance. And then all of a sudden he just I don't even think he looked up. He just was like, I'm just going to chip it, and just chipped it so perfectly, just in a spot where the keeper could get a fingertip to it and the ball would still go in. To me, it's the most disrespectful goal I've seen from this franchise ever. But he has been incredible, and I think he legitimately has planted himself firmly. It's very early, but firmly as the front runner for the MVP of this league, which is not something I thought I would be saying. I'm super happy to be saying it because we probably have the 2 best players in the league, but it's incredible.
You shouldn't be too surprised. I mean, we picked him to be the Golden Boot winner for the MLS, and that pretty much goes hand in hand with the MVP. So I mean, he's definitely going to win. What is a newcomer of the year? Isn't that one of the awards that they have for
100%?
So he looks far and away like the best acquisition in the league, and it's easy to say that when he leads the league in goals, not just goal scores, but I think in goal contributions as a whole. Man, it's just so great because throughout the whole preseason, everybody was saying, "Oh, we might have had a really bad investment here."
You could see it.
He might not last the year. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, he started off slow last year. He limped all throughout the league last year. He'll get going." And And we kind of held that in our back pocket, kind of hoping that was the case, and it looks like it's true. He picks his moments to really go out on the sprint. He's still limping around all game, pretty much, but the limp doesn't look as grave when you're scoring 2 goals at 2 goals a game. So, yeah, let's just hope. We gotta hope that balance stays, that delicate balance, because he's one knock away from being sidelined for a considerable amount of time.
It's funny you talk about the limp, because I don't know if I saw something on Instagram or read something. I don't remember what it was now, but he said that in an interview that he's been limping since 2016. And that hasn't stopped him. So here he is. He has what? I'm going to bring up what I asked the last match. Can he get to 50 goal contributions? Today with the 2 goals, I think he's at 11 in 5 games, 6 games, whatever it is. I mean, that's incredible, guys. This is a 60 match season or year between all tournaments, and he already has 11 goal contributions. Like, geez, that's insane.
Yeah, there's obviously going to be stretches where we hopefully that we rest him and we're able to get by. Campana, capable striker, again, not the same level obviously, but the guy's output is insane, and some of these plays are just outstanding, man. Really, just we're honestly so lucky to watch. And Sir Octi in the chat brings up the statement that he'll likely have better availability than Messi, so better shot at MVP, but Messi is still more decisive for the team, especially for any title runs. And I do agree with that. But I think just by the nature of the position that he plays, he'll have a better shot. Messi is so much more dangerous to an opponent than Suarez. Obviously, when you have a goal scorer of his caliber, it's a very dangerous thing for the opponent. But Messi can completely he can nullify everything that the opposition is trying to do. Suarez can be locked down. He can obviously pull a rabbit out of the hat, but Messi has so many more ways to disrupt what a defense is trying to do. And Suarez, you can there are ways to game plan against him. But yeah, just by availability so far, Suarez has been our best player of the season, dare I say.
Yeah, I agree. He comes in and sparks the team like he did today. How can you not say that? He's been lights out. He's been lights out.
Yeah, it's been great. We're truly blessed. I mean, outside of anyone named Messi, I think Suarez is the best player in the league right now. I think he is the front runner for MVP as of this moment in time. And he's saved results for us, and he has put his stamp on every match that he's played, really, with the exception of Salt Lake. So to me, it's great. It's great. It's cool to have a striker like him that gives us awesome plays that we can watch on repeat over and over again. Just don't watch on TikTok, because Jose did an awful edit at the Heron Heads. I guess check it out if you want, and then leave a comment so Jose can see it. But man, it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing. It's so cool that, we didn't have Messi playing, and still there's so much hype around this team, and it's just fun. Like, it's just incredible. Like, it's just so fun. I don't know how else to put it.
It's fun because we're scoring, and it's fun because the narrative in the preseason is over with. They threw that out the window. You can't say that this team is old and slow and they're going to get beat and this and that, because they're not. They've had one bad game. Everyone's allowed a bad game, and that's without Messi and Alba in it. And that narrative is out. The narrative is out. That's why it makes it even funner. It makes it even funner because of that exact reason. These people that were talking crap all preseason, it's over. You can't say anything. You're watching these games and you can't say anything about it. They're scoring. Their chemistry is great. The passing is beautiful. The defense, even though like we said, it's been a question, they're holding up as well. So what can you say? Nothing.
Yeah, that was the issue in the preseason, is we weren't scoring. Like, wow, they have all these pieces and they can't score. Now we're scoring. And I think that helps the defense as well. Like, the defense is our weakest link. So the fact that we can go up 2-3 goals, takes a lot of pressure off of the defense. So that's also a factor in helping our defense, and that's why they don't look that good, but the results are what they are, because you go out and take a 2 or 3 goal lead, and then guess what? Now there's so much more pressure on the opposing team, and then they start to crack, or they start messing up easier plays. We've seen, I don't know how many balls just get skied, and I think a lot of it has to do with saying, okay, we're up against giants here, and they're up on us. So, and yeah, I was looking at that comment by, oh man, it went away just now, referring to how Joseph Martinez's departure has affected this club. You said that it doesn't affect this club at all. I believe that it affects this club tremendously, but in a positive effect. Martinez, they kept putting him out there because they're paying him to be a goal scorer. So they felt like they had to put him out there, and you can't justify having him come off the bench with his skill set, and just having him out there for the majority of the matches, just you weren't getting anything from him. And look, with Suarez, who doesn't have that blazing speed, yet he's so much more effective in the box. So yeah, I think it's fantastic that we were able to offload Joseph Martinez, and I think it made all the difference in the world that we were able to do so.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think outside of just the base level talent that Suarez has, Martinez's knees were shot. His pace was nowhere near where it used to be at his peak. And you could say the same thing about Suarez. Like, Suarez's knees are comparably shot, and he just has much more talent and technique than Joseph Martinez does. So to me, it was a net gain, not just on contract, but on talent, because at that point, you're talking about who is more clinical, who has more talent once they get into an attacking position. And obviously it's Luis Suarez. So yeah, I agree, Dave. Like, it was a net gain on all fronts, because Joseph Martinez, while having history in this league specifically, was a shell of himself by the time that he departed our club. So then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and it was right before we jumped on that Joseph Martinez train. I don't remember. So next up for Inter Miami is New York Red Bulls on Saturday. They just got destroyed by Columbus 3-0. I do think they have some interesting things that may make them a tougher matchup against us, pardon me. And we'll dive into this fully in a preview episode this week. But Emil Forsberg, formerly of RB Leipzig, Lewis Morgan, one of my favorite players of Inter Miami club history, revenge game.
He's been playing well.
He has been playing well. I think they have pace, which DC United doesn't really have. DC United had more size than anything, specifically with Benteke. I think it will be an interesting matchup. It's in New York, and outside of today's match, New York Red Bulls has had a decent start to the season. They look a little bit more formidable than they were last season. They did sneak into the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. They were on that bubble with us. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. The result today probably benefits us because their confidence will be a little bit low. But they, as with every team that faces us, they'll be wanting to prove a point. So that's next up on Saturday. It's nice that we'll have a full week rest, which we haven't had in a couple weeks. So that'll be really nice, especially coming off the back of this. We can talk about our new right back who will be coming in, whose name for like the fourth time in a row escapes me.
El Chelo.
Weigand.
Marcelo Weigand.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but Weigand, yeah.
Good old
Weigand?
MW.
El Chelo.
Chelo.
El Chelo. So El Chelo, he was the player that we were linked to from Boca Juniors, and they were asking for $1 million, even though his contract was coming up, and we were offering like way less than that because we could essentially get him for free in the summer. So it seems like he leveraged his position and forced Boca's to give him a contract and then give him to us on a loan.
On a free loan.
on a free loan. So an incredible
Sucker.
bit of business by Inter Miami and El Chelo. And then I believe, Dave, you mentioned that we have an option to buy.
Yeah, so I believe that I read that he signed a 2-year contract extension, 1-year free loan with an Inter Miami option to purchase. So let's see how that goes, and hopefully he hits the ground running just like Redondo did, and we never look back.
They say he was a beast. I think now he was blacklisted this season with the team, and they started someone else. But they said he was a beast the last 2 seasons before that. So hopefully we get that Chelo here, and we see a great replacement for that right back position that was left vacant with the Yedlin trade. So that'll be really nice, man.
What does that
With this
do to
team clicking
Gressel?
as it is? I think he'll stay at the center mid position where he's played decently. I think he's played
To
decently.
rotate.
What does that do to Redondo and Gomez and Busquets?
I think Gressel then becomes your mainstay at right wing. I understand that's technically where Messi plays, but Messi's not a true right winger. So if anything, it'll help out. I don't know. You're right. It's
a good problem.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you replace him and then you put Messi in the midfield, and then you're like, who are you taking out of the midfield? So it's good. I mean, what it does is it forces us to have one really good quality player off, so we can actually have like set rest days for these guys. So that's good. But you're right. It's what it does is it gives Tata the opportunity to tinker.
I like this suggestion from Tony X. Gomez will play left wing and Taylor will become first sub. So you'll have Gomez out of the midfield, Gressel into the midfield, and then everyone else kind of the same.
Is it just me, or does it feel like Robert Taylor is a very streaky player and Tata is aware of it? And he's like, he
doesn't want to miss it.
he doesn't have it today, and he's like super early to take Robert Taylor off. Have you noticed that when he's on, and then when the days that he just doesn't show anything special, Tata is very quick with the Vaudevillian Kane just to take him out of there. I mean, he replaced him with Suarez today, so like I was surprised that Suarez came in for Robert Taylor of all people, because Taylor, they were saying on the broadcast, he is the fastest guy in attack that we have. So it was a little surprising seeing Robert Taylor come off, especially without having any real blunders other than that one offsides and the chance that they called the goal kick, but really was a shot on target. Yeah, I mean, again, it's good to see that we'll have options. Options is never a bad thing. Well, sometimes Tata's made options a bad thing, but good options. We have good options.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It's like you said, it's a good problem to have too many players for a given position. And some of these players do have a lot of flexibility, like Gressel. So we will find a place for those players that deserve to be on the pitch. And hopefully everything just gels correctly, because right now the performance that we saw today was, like you said, Dave, one of the best like interplay performances, or maybe it was Chris. I don't know. We've all been talking about it. Today was like such a good rhythm, a good flow to the offense. And, hopefully we'll just continue to improve, like every week, getting better and better and better. We don't want this to be our peak. Obviously Messi didn't play, so we're nowhere near our peak because he elevates it that much more. But this was a really positive match. We will do a full preview for the New York match. I'm sure we'll get some more information. I can't imagine El Chelo will be available for Saturday, but I did hear that he was already making his way over to file paperwork. Hopefully no visa issues, because that always seems to be a holdup. But we'll get more information hopefully around Wednesday, when I imagine we'll be doing this preview. We'll have more news on that and more news on Messi and his availability, not just this week, but long term. And if anything else comes out, we obviously will discuss it. But Chris, any closing remarks?
Yeah. I actually like closing all these reaction ones with just a look at the standings, just to kind of give everyone who stayed with us a peek of what's going on in the league. So obviously we said Columbus Crew, they won. That was a big win, but they played Red Bull. So that they were tied with 7 points with us as well. So it was a double-edged sword. Regardless, one of them were going to be tied with us with a win. So best case scenario would have been a tie, and obviously that wasn't it. So they're actually tied with us. The Crew at 10 points on the top of the table. Montreal lost today, which is great. There was 7 points. Toronto also lost. That was tied with us at 7. So they stayed at 7. We have the big matchup against Red Bull. It's going to be very big for the standings next week. So hopefully we could get out there with a win as well and just separate us a little bit more. I don't think Nashville's played this week, and Cincinnati, I don't think has played. Nashville did play. They won.
Yeah, Cincinnati plays tomorrow.
And Cincinnati plays tomorrow. So those are kind of the ones that we're keeping up with in the top of the table, just to give a little preview of what's going on. So we're looking good. We're looking
very
good.
Cool. If you still have it pulled up, we played more games than everyone, right?
Yeah, I think we're still one game up on everyone.
Okay, so Columbus technically has a game in hand.
We're still one game up on everyone. We're at 5 games. Everyone else is at 4 games.
Yeah, so Columbus has a game in hand, so they're technically above us. Yeah.
Maybe.
We still have the number one.
Unless that game in hand is against us. I don't think that's possible mathematically.
Figure it out.
Figure it out, guys. Anyways, for those of you that have stuck around to the end, thank you for hanging around with us. It has been a silly little show here without Jose, a lot less Robert Taylor and Drake Callender slander than usual. So apologies for those of you that are on his side. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before heading out. It is completely free, but helps us out tremendously. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the support we've been getting on Patreon and in the YouTube donors. We've gotten a couple super thanks. So thank you to Tarek. I don't know the full username, but Tarek, thank you so much for the super thanks on our last episode, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you again to Matty V for becoming our newest Chief Heron Head. And as always, thank you guys for stopping by the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.